Good day. We are today's presenter. Our topic is all about approaches to tourism planning and development. I am Clarissa May O. Salvador, and the first approach is the no planning. Many destinations start out with no tourism planning at all. Planning may not be seen as necessary when the place has undeveloped supply and demand, or where visitation rates are so small as to not perceive any impact from it. So the first is the no planning. Dito, hindi necessary na magkaroon ng plan sa isang destination or place, especially sa mga undeveloped, or yung rate ng pag-visit ng mga tourists is hindi ganun kataas. So the next one is the ad hoc planning. It is planning only as the need arises, such as planning and preparation for a town fiesta or when an important visitor is coming. So the word ad hoc comes from the Latin word which means for this or for this situation. It is used to describe something that has been formed for a special and immediate purpose without previous planning. Dito naman, for example, the President will visit Wesleyan University, Philippines on March 21. Therefore, we are obliged to create an instant meet and greet. Kapag sa ad hoc planning, karaniwang ginagawa to sa mga fiesta or sa mga immediate na may pagbisita sa isang lugar, mga ganun. So the third one is the integrated tourism planning. Integrated tourism planning. When tourism is developed and planned as an integrated system within itself as a part of an overall tourism plan and total development patterns in an area. So, yung main purpose ng integrated tourism is to improve people's quality of life through tourism industry. An example of integrated planning is provided in the National Tourism Development Plan or NTDP. So, yung Pilipinas is divided siya sa 20 tourism clusters, with the clusters built around tourism development areas which are in turn developed around tourist sites which are made up of tourist attractions. The fourth approach is the boosterist approach. Boosterism sees tourism as a positive force for economic development. Its primary goal is to maximize tourism revenues through mass tourism. So, yung boosterism have the attitude toward tourism development, which is inherently good and will provide benefit to the host destination. In boosterism, tourism is beneficial for destination and its habitant. And then yung mga environmental objects will be promoted as assets para mas mag-increase yung economic benefits niya.
Hi everyone, my name is Karen Dalpuy, your second reporter for today, and my topic is product-led development. In product-led development, it says to build it and they will come for it. Siyempre kapag nag-build ka ng isang tourist attraction, make sure na magre-research ka about your target markets kung pupuntahan dito na isang turista. And one of the reasons kung bakit pinupuntahan yung isang tourist attraction is kung ano nga ba yung magiging experience and yung ganda ng isang tourist attraction kaya pinupuntahan to ng isang turista. And here is the key to successful tourism program. And to provide this following. First is infrastructure, the second one is facilities, and the third one is amenities. Sa infrastructure, given naman na yung highways, roads, and airports to access the tourist attraction. And then sa facilities, syempre, kailangan natin mag-provide ng facilities sa isang turista. And then, amenities. Ito din yung reason kung bakit pinupuntahan yung isang tourist attraction. Kung libre ba yung wifi access dito, and then kung marami bang restaurant or nagsiserve sila ng mga unique foods, and then kung meron ba silang swimming pools. And for example, construct a theme park for a water resort in the middle of nowhere, and people will find their way to it for as long as the attraction is of high quality. Siyempre, pupunta ka na sa isang tourist attraction, yung maganda na, kahit dayuhin mo pa yun sa kalagitnaan ng isang lugar. And syempre, titignan mo din kung accessible ba yung road na papunta doon, kung safe ba. And then, yung importante dito is ma-meet natin yung expectation ng isang turista sa isang tourist attraction. The second one is spatial planning approach. Spatial planning approach is a type of product-led tourism planning, but on a wider scale. It focuses on destination layout and design and breaks down tourism into spatial units, such as gateways. And that gateways, for example, is the airports. Ito yung access point dun sa isang tourist attraction. Ganenver 2002 in Chaisawat identifies 3 spatial units in tourism, and the 3 spatial unit ay yung site scale, destination scale, and regional scale. In site scale, ito yung mga planning about the tourism property like hotel, resorts, and restaurant. Sa destination scale naman, ito yung nakasurround sa isang community, yung paplano sa isang area doon. And then the regional scale, yung level naman nito is for province, regions, or in a country na. The third one of my topic is demand-led approach. In demand-led approach, the edge for success of tourism product is to know the customer and satisfy them. Siyempre, kailangan mo munang alamin kung sino nga ba yung target market mo. And then, kapag nalaman mo yun, siyempre, alam mo din kung paano masatisfy yung needs and wants nila. And there is a two reasons for this. The first one is we need to design the tourism product around the market. Siyempre, kailangan nakabase sa customers kung paano mo i-design yung tourism product in a convenient way, and then yung costing neto kung magiging patok pa. And then the second one is demand projection serve as basis for expansion of the physical capacity of the nation. It's all about the capacity ng lugar for the expansion. The provision of tourism facilities, amenities, and services must follow a thorough understanding of market characteristics and requirements. In that way, tourists will be satisfied. Satisfaction leads to repeat visits or positive word of mouth, which generate even bigger number of arrivals. For example, yung isang turista is na-satisfy dun sa tourist products or in services dun sa isang tourist attraction, is kaya niyang makapag-promote into a positive word of mouth, like ipopromote niya to sa isang kaibigan niya na pumunta doon kasi na-experience niya na doon sa isang tourist attraction na yon kung ano ba yung maganda niyang na-experience. Ngayon, i-share niya to sa kaibigan niya. Then, dahil doon, mas dadami yung pupuntang turista doon dahil sa mga positive reviews about the tourist attraction. A practical way to do is to identify what tourist market segments want. By this, conducting a research is much more help to identify all of this. And this is the best way to know the customer needs and wants. Siyempre, magko-conduct ka nga ng research para ma-identify mo yung needs and wants ng customers mo. The fourth one is bureaucratic or government approach. It is the primary and multitasking actor. Government use these various types to promote tourism by advocacy, money, action, and laws. The first one is advocacy. It refers to strategic plans, accreditation schemes, and investment schemes. It's about the strategic planning and sa mga accreditation ng sa mga buildings, and tourist attraction. Sa monetary instrument, ito yung include na yung travel taxes, user fees, license permit, tax relief. Ito yung pinagkukuhanan ng government ng pondo, the taxes. Then action refers to infrastructure provision, marketing, promotion, education, and research. In action, ito yung pinopromote nila mas lalo yung mga research studies to develop more of tourism sector product. And then sa laws, ito yung refers to zoning, building regulation, foreign safety regulation, and foreign investment regulation. Sila pa rin yung in major to provide some regulations sa mga buildings and kung saan pa man. The two types of bureaucratic approaches, center planning approach and the devolved planning approach. Sa center planning approach, where the national level agencies carry out all functions related to tourism planning and development. Dito yung where there is command economy. In short, that the government will take ownership of means of production and run the economy. For example natin is the North Korea. Diba ang nagli-lead sa North Korea is si Kim Jong-un. And then yung bansa din na to is the most controlled country by the government. They own a lot of establishment in North Korea. Miski yung sa mga transportation, yung mga company, ang pagmamay-ari nun is yung government ng North Korea. Then second one is the devolved planning approach, where local government units assume control of tourism planning and development for their respective jurisdiction. Where local government units assume na may control sila in tourism planning and development sa kanilang lugar or province. Kontrolado ang lahat under their jurisdiction.
Middle path approach, Bhutan model. The opposite of tourism is low volume, high yield tourism, which Skivings 2007 volume of tourism to maximize revenue but minimize the adverse effects of tourism, religion, culture, and environment. To the Bhutanese, gross national happiness is more important than planning material wealth. In the Kingdom of Bhutan, tourists are required to spend a high minimum amount of money per day of visits, which eliminates the entry of budget tourists. So, what is the meaning of the middle path? It said in the Google, the Middle Path National Environment Strategy for Bhutan aims to highlight issues, potential problems, and constraints and choices that our country has to make in order to ensure the conservation of our natural resources while pursuing economic development. This is the challenge of sustainable development for Bhutan. So, meaning, ang Bhutan daw is focus siya sa mga issues at sa mga potential na magiging problema sa isang lugar para parang mami-minimize niya yung epekto ng magiging problema na to bago itong magiging mag-epekto. Sinasabi din dito is the opposite of tourism is low volume, high yield tourism, which volume tourism to maximize revenue but minimize the adverse effects of tourism. Meaning, mina-maximize o pinapataas nito yung revenue ng isang tourism but at the same time is minimize niya yung epekto na or damages. Ano ba yung mga epekto na maapektuhan sa isang tourism pag nagde-develop? Di ba may mga different kinds of negative effects ang mga iba't ibang negative effects ang naapektuhan sa different kinds of sector ng tourism. Kaya dito, sa middle path approach is pinapokus niya yung mga issues or possibilities na pwedeng mangyari sa isang lugar.
Next is environmental approach. Environmental approach work best when the place being considered for tourism development is endowed with natural attractions of outstanding beauty, remote beyond the reach of commercial electric and water services, or protected by law such as protected areas and ancestral domains of indigenous people. Many areas in Palawan fit this description. Palawan is the only province in the Philippines to have a special law called the Strategic Environmental Plan, RA 7611. The law specifically mentions the imposition of total commercial logging ban in old-growth and residual forests. Under these circumstances, environment-friendly tourism like ecotourism may be the only acceptable alternative. Dito sa environmental approach, mas nagpo-focus sila sa natural attractions like falls, river, yung mga mountains. Di ba mas maganda nga naman puntahan yung mga natural attractions, di ba? Kasi nakakasawa naman ang puntahan yung mga city, mga ganun. Dito din, pinaprotektahan nila yung environment nga. Dine-develop nila yung lugar, yung natural attractions sa paraang hindi masisira yung natural na ganda nito. And then, ang example nga nito is yung sa Palawan niya, di ba? May isa cave, yung mga bundok doon, di ba? Mga puno. Doon pinagbabawal ng magputol. Magputol ng puno. Gumawa sila doon ng law sa Palawan. Ito yung law na the Strategic Environmental Plan, RA 7611. Kasi nga, di ba, ang ganda ng sa Palawan, ang daming puno, ganun. Hindi na sila po pwedeng magputol doon para dagdagan yung mga tourist spot doon. Pwede naman lang dagdagan, pero hindi sila po pwedeng magputol ng puno, hindi nila po pwedeng sirain yung natural attractions doon. Kasi nga, environment-friendly tourism ang Palawan. Pinapahalagahan talaga nila yung nature, yung environment doon, yung natural environment nila.
My name is Joante Pascual and I am your next reporter. Ecotourism approach. Ecotourism is a suitable form of tourism for places described above. It is defined by the DOT 2002 as a form of sustainable tourism within a natural and cultural heritage area where community participation, protection and management of natural resources, culture and indigenous knowledge and practices, environmental education and ethics, as well as economic benefits are fostered and pursued for enrichment of host communities and satisfaction of visitors. Ecotourism emphasizes the environmental and cultural dimensions of sustainability.
Social approaches. The tourism planning emphasizes the role of stakeholders in the tourism planning process. It is concerned with directing the benefit and control of resources toward the community and other vulnerable groups. So, meaning, ang social approaches daw is yung nag-e-emphasize sa mga role of stakeholders. Meaning, emphasizing is giving importance to know what is the right thing to do na, kunyari, example is sa pagpaplano sa tourism planning, binibigyan ng importance or ini-stress yung isang bagay na pinapakita kung ano ang dapat gawin sa isang operation. Sabi dito, it is concerned with directing the benefit and control of resources. So, it also na dinidirect niya rin yung mga benefits at kinokontrol yung mga resources sa isang komunidad at sa ibang mga grupo sa isang lugar. Example of it is, kunyari sa isang ikang stakeholders, sa pagpaplano dito, ipapakita sa iyo kung ano ba yung gagawin or ano yung mga importante na bagay na dapat kasama sa isang operation. So, meaning sa isang sa tourism, sa isang or tourism service or tourist attraction is pinaprocess yung mga bagay na dapat gawin para maging mataas yung chance ng success rate ng isang operation process.
Participatory stakeholder approach. Participatory approach puts people at the center of the planning process. It is an approach in which each relevant stakeholder has a say in the deliberation and decision-making process. So what are stakeholders? It refers to a group of people or entities or individuals within a place who have an interest in tourism because they will be affected by a decision to develop or not develop tourism. Advantages. It enhances a sense of ownership of the plan, which translates into smoother implementation. Through consultations and workshops, stakeholders are able to share their knowledge and past experiences with tourism development and help avoid pitfalls caused by ignorance of the realities of community or target population. Next is the disadvantages. There may be strong disagreements among the members and consensus may be hard to establish. Not everyone who sits at the table may be qualified to contribute in a meaningful way to the process. Dominant individuals who have vested interest or axe to grind may dominate the proceedings and ruin the process. Community-based tourism. Community-based tourism or CBT is tourism that is owned or managed by communities and intended to deliver wider community benefit. Its core idea is by allowing community to have control over a tourism enterprise. An example of transactive planning approach which is based on social learning theory and transactive interaction. Proper approach. Proper tourism or PPT is defined as tourism that generates net benefits for the poor. In this, the needs of the poor are prioritized over externally oriented growth imperatives. For PPT to succeed, the following principles need to be adhered to. Number 1. Participation by poor people in decisions affecting their livelihood priorities. 2. A holistic livelihoods approach. Tourism is seen as part of the livelihood options in an area. Tourism may be the main economic activity or serve only as a supplement to existing livelihood activities. 3. Equity, distribution of benefits and costs. 4. Flexibility. Pace or scale of development may be adjusted as the case may be. Commercial realism. PPT does not have to be small scale. Linking micro and small tourism enterprises with mainstream tourism will help ensure their viability. Learning lessons from poverty analysis, environmental management, good governance, and small enterprise development should be passed on to build the body of knowledge on PPT.
Fair trade is a trading partnership based on dialogue, transparency, and respect that seek greater equity in international trade. It contributes to sustainable development by offering better trading conditions to and securing the rights of marginalized producers and workers. Dito sa fair trade naman, nagbibigay ng respect sa mga sa bansang iba't ibang estado. Mayaman or mahirap na bansa, fair lang yung trade nila, walang lamangan. And also, fair trade in tourism is the concept of visiting a place as a tourist and trying to only make a positive impact on that location, environment, society, and economy. And dito, sinusuportahan talaga nila yung local businesses nila. And sinusure nila na hindi ma-harm yung environment and yung local culture nila ng mga tourists na dumarating doon. And fair trade in tourism also ensure good wage and working condition for staff. And sabi nga kayo na, di ba, yung nagbibigay sila ng respect, dito din naman, meron silang respect for human rights, cultures, and the environment is followed. Benefits of fair trade in tourism provides jobs for the local. Fair trade in tourism helps to create jobs opportunity for the local community. Example, pagiging tour guide, and then host, translator, and then yung cook, yung mga small business, saka mga souvenir shop. Ayan, provides jobs for the local. Nagkakapera sila, nagkaka-job sila. And then helps to preserve the local culture. Experiencing the unique culture of different places is one of the greatest aspects of travel. By interacting with the local community, he learned a lot about their culture. Sustainable tourism approach. Sustainable development was defined by the World Commissions of Environment and Development in 1987, also known as the Brundtland Commissions, as development that meets the needs of the present generations without the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Sustainable tourism was derived from the Berens paradigm of sustainable development is defined as the tourism that takes full account of its current and future economic, social, and environmental impacts, addressing visitors, the industry, the environment, and host communities. Dito sa sustainable tourism, dapat responsible tourist ka. And dapat mas sinusuportahan mo yung local culture nila para nakakatulong din tayo sa kanila, diba? At saka yung local product nila, dapat yun yung mas tinatangkilik natin kaysa sa mga malalaking mall na pupuntahan natin. Ang bili na lang natin yung mga local products nila. And dapat nire-respect din natin yung local culture nila. Para naman mas tumatag yung turismo doon sa lugar na yon. Para yung mga next generations, mga future generations, maabutan pa nila yung tourist na yon. Maabutan pa nila kung ano yung meron noon, andun pa rin hanggang ngayon. Ganon.
Hi, my name is Felipe Ilemensa and I'm going to discuss the goals of sustainable tourism, principles and strategy of sustainable tourism, setting the course and developing approach. First, I'm going to discuss the goals of sustainable tourism. There are 12 main goals of sustainable tourism. First is the economic viability. Economic viability, the long-term viability and competitiveness of tourism destinations and enterprises. Dito sinasabi daw ay sinisigurado daw yung kalidad ng isang lugar upang maging successful, para mag-work siya na success and mapalakas or ma-strengthen yung competitive niya ng isang lugar sa tourism industry. Meaning, pag tumaas ang isang kalidad ng isang lugar, mas mataas yung chance niya nito na mag-develop at lumago sa pangmatagalang panahon. Second is the local prosperity. Dito naman dito sa local prosperity is pumapasok dito naman ang contribution ng turismo na nakakapag-develop siya ng ekonomiya sa isang lugar. Which mean, dito nagpo-focus ang isang turismo na dapat sa mismong lugar or bayan kung saan ay ang mga contribution ay dapat lahat na pupunta sa host ng isang komunidad. Para dito lumago ang kanilang sariling ekonomiya. Number 3 is the employment quality. Dito naman ay pinaparami or pinapaganda ang mga trabaho kabilang ang mataas na sahod, mga kondisyon ng pag ikaw ay nagtatrabaho at lalo na ang pag-iwas sa discrimination sa bawat isa. Siyempre, employment equity is parang pantay-pantay anuman ng estado sa buhay. Kailangan iniiwasan ng discrimination. Lahat ay pantay-pantay. Susunod is social equity. The fair distribution of economic equity. Diba, the meaning of equity is fair. Nag-i-spread dapat tayo ng pantay-pantay na patas. Dito daw patas na pagbibigay ng economic and social benefits o mga benepisyo sa ating turismo. Kasama dito pagbibigay ng oportunidad, pagtaas ng sahod at pagbibigay ng trabaho sa mahihirap. Number 5 is visitor fulfillment. Dito naman daw is pumapasok yung pinapakita yung kaligtasan ng isang lugar para ma-ensure na safe yung mga destinasyon na pupuntahan ng mga turista. Siyempre, yung mga turista, di ba, mapagka gusto pumunta sa isang destination, sinisigurado nila na ligtas ito. Siyempre, nakasama dito yung pagbibigay ng magandang serbisyo sa mga turista. Dito nakapaloob yung pag-iwas sa discrimination din sa tao na dapat nating i-respeto ang bawat isa. Number 6 is local control. So, ano nga ba ang local control? Sinasabi dito daw is parang ini-engage or pinapalakas or empowering the local community sa pagpaplano. Parang pagdedesisyon sa pag-handle ng isang lugar. Para dito daw is ma-ensure dito yung pag-develop ng tourism sa kanilang lugar. Which mean, parang nagpaplano sila sa bago gumawa ng isang bagay o proyekto. Siyempre, kailangan pinaplano muna natin lahat at dinidecide ng mabuti para mas mataas yung chance na maging successful yung operasyon. Number 7 is community well-being. Community well-being, dito naman is nagpo-focus sa pamumuhay o buhay ng mga tao sa isang lokal na lugar. Kabilang dito ang social structures, access sa mga yaman ng lugar or natural resources, at mga amenities or establishmento. Dito ang pagsusuporta sa pangkabuhayan ng mga tao. Dito daw is pinafocus yung sa development din sa mga local areas at dito sinusuportahan daw din ang kabuhayan ng mga tao. 8 is cultural richness. Dito naman ay ang pagbibigay ng respeto at magandang pangangalaga sa mga historic heritage, meaning sa mga preservation. Like example is yung mga sa vegan, di ba, mga historic heritage yung mga bahay doon at kahit sa sobrang tagal is napapangalagaan. At the same time, mga nakakasanayang kultura, siyempre yung mga kulturang nakasanayan is hindi nawawala at tradisyon, yung mga tradisyon ng mga lumo, di ba may mga tradisyon tayong ginagawa pa din kahit sobrang tagal na ito. Then, sa pagkakaiba ng mga tao sa isang lugar, siyempre yung ibig sabihin ng distinctiveness is yung pagkakaiba nila sa isang lugar. Kung ano bang na iba sa kanila or kunyari is yung dito is sikat yung ganitong gawain. Ganun. 9 is physical integrity. Dito naman ay mini-maintain daw at pinapaganda ang mga lugar sa mga urban or rural areas. Dapat ay pinangangalagahan ang bawat natural na yaman ng isang lugar. Parang dito din, parang katulad lang siya nung isang sa cultural na pinangangalagahan din dapat ang mga doon sa cultural is mga kultura, historic heritage. Dito naman is yung mga natural na yaman na dapat ay pinoprotect at pinangangalagaan yung mga natural attraction. 10 is biological diversity, the support the conservation of natural areas. Dito din ay sumusuporta man ang pangangalaga ng mga natural na lugar. Yamang kalikasan. At dito pinapaliit or iniiwasan ang pagkasira sa mga ito. 11 is resource and efficiency. Dito naman ay minimize or pinapaliit ang dami ng paggamit ng mga non-renewable resources. Siyempre, may mga bagay sa sobrang dami ng tao, diba? May mga bagay na pang isang gamitan lang. Siyempre, dapat nagiging matalino tayo sa paggamit ng mga bagay. At bagay na isa lang dito ay dinedevelop ang operasyon ng turismo sa mga pasilidad dito at serbisyo na nabibigay sa mga tao. 12 is environmental purify. Dito naman ay nakapaloob ang pag-iwas sa pagkalago ng polusyon sa hangin, sa tubig at sa lupa. Dito nagpo-focus na dapat ay pangalagaan natin ang ating kapaligiran at maging matalinong tao na alam ang tama at mali upang maiwasan natin ang pagkalat ng polusyon. Diyan yung mga mga nakapaloob diyan is yung mga tourism. Siyempre sa dami ng tao na kunyari sa isang lugar is sobrang dami ng tao. Siyempre di natin maiiwasang mag-cause ng pollution. Kaya kailangan pagka gano'n is maging matalinong tao tayo na kailangan mapanatili natin ang kalinisan. First, the holistic approach. Dito naman is sinasabi daw na dapat ay nagpo-provide tayo ng support sa hindi lang sa isang bagay, dapat sa buong lahat ng bagay kunyari sa tourism. Dapat hindi lang iisa yung parang pinofocus natin na dapat ay sa lahat ng sector is nagpo-focus din tayo. So the second one is multi-stakeholder engagement. Tourism development must ensure buy-in support from the community by providing opportunity to every sector to have a voice in the decision-making process from planning to operational stage. So dito is nag-engage tayo ng tourism development daw ay may paniguradong dapat na suporta sa mga komunidad na nagbibigay dapat ng opportunity sa lahat ng sektor upang makakalap ng salita at mga desisyon sa paggawa at mga plano sa isang operasyon. So, meaning, ang madaling salita is parang ini-ensure nyo dapat na sa isang lugar is, kunyari sa tourism, kailangan sa isang lugar, kailangan may suporta tayo na nakakalap sa isang komunidad para gawing tourism destination ng isang lugar at pinaplano muna ang lahat ng bagay para maging patok ito sa publiko. 3 is long-term perspective. Dito naman is ang tourist ay nagbibigay ng full awareness or at consideration sa mga resources na importante na kailangan sa panghinaharap at pangmatagalan na operasyon. Dito daw is parang yung turismo daw ay dapat develop with full consideration of the resources, meaning sa mga, kunyari sa isang lugar, kailangan nating sa mga lugar is parang yung mga resources natin is dapat pinapangalagaan natin ganun para sa mga projects na kailangan is sa mga pangmatagalan, meaning pangmatagalan is mas magiging long term yung magiging ano ng resources natin. Saka yung hindi lang sa mga resources, pati na rin sa isang lugar natin is inaano natin yung parang independent na pagiging independent natin para sa isang lugar. 4 is the address both global and local impact. These two levels of impact affect each other. So, ano ang both global and local impact? Example nito is yung parang sa local health issues can spread and become pandemics that restrict international travel. Di ba yung nangyari is sa atin is the COVID-19, and dahil sa pag-spread ng viruses, naapektuhan ng mga tao, which is the health issues, tas nag-effect din siya sa buong mundo, meaning global, nag-restrict sila ng travel na naka-apekto talaga sa mga lahat, or sa buong bansa. Yun ang example ng address both global and local impacts. Next is the 5, sustainable consumption. Sustainable tourism must also involve modifying tourist consumption behavior to ensure the viability of the planet. Ang example daw nito is yung yung as a tourist, dapat daw hindi tayo bumibili ng mga produktong parang pinagbabawal. Example ng mga pinagbabawal na sa mga hayop is such as ivory ornaments or shark fin dumpling. Di ba may mga talagang mga illegal na ginagamit ang mga tao para gawing souvenir products yung mga parts ng animals. Example is nga yung sa mga elepante, di ba yung ano nila, yung parang sungay nilang ginagamit. Tapos kinukuha yan, pinuputol para gawing dekorasyon lang. Next one is the developing the approach. 1, polluter pays principle. This means that those who cause negative impacts on the environment must shoulder the cost of mitigating or adapting to the damage caused by their actions. Example dito is yun para sa mga tourist destination, di ba? Di ba sa isang tourist destination, nagbibigay tayo ng environmental fee. Dito, nagbibigay tayo ng environmental fee para matulungan yung kalinisan ng isang lugar. Hindi natin sinabi na pagka naging turista tayo is polluter na tayo. Parang sinasabi lang dito is kailangan din nating i-minimize yung kadumihan sa isang lugar, at the same time nagbibigay tayo ng tulong sa isang lugar na na maging mapanatili ang kalinisan, kasi hindi naman ganoon kalaki ang kinikita ng mga kaya yung mga pupuntang turista, parang magbibigay tayo ng mga environmental fee sa isang lugar. Number 2 is the precautionary principle. Before any tourism project ensues, there should be a careful assessment of its impact. Measure must be put in place to prevent the expect damage rather than to act it after the damage has actually occurred. So dito raw sinasabi na dapat is parating nagiging handa. Precautionary meaning na alerto tayo na dapat is magawa isang bagay na to para hindi mangyari ang isang aksidente or ano man. Example na ito is sa highway. Dito sa highway, cuts through the habitat of animals. Dito naman daw is pumapasok yung sa mga animals. Di ba sa ibang bansa, maraming ganito, yung parang gumagawa sila ng daan para hindi maapektuhan yung mga animals na dumadaan, kunyari. Kasi, syempre, pagka may mga wild animals na, minsan di naiiwasan yung aksidente na may masagasaan na, dito papasok na ang isang solusyon na dapat nagbi-build ng isang elevated highway sa mga animals para hindi sila masagasaan. Next one is the number 3 is the life cycle perspective. Tourism development must consider impacts over the entire life cycle of the tourist attraction. This includes considering the resources to be used during the initial phase of development, siting and design, development and construction, all inputs to its operation and disposal after use. Implication dito is example is yung planning, kunyari nagpaplano ng isang mga malalaking events like the Olympics, dapat daw ang mga planners is mas mag-offer tayo ng mga alternative uses for the sport facilities at ang mga venues after na matapos ang isang event. So, is the considering functional alternatives. Choose the option that can provide the best return for the investment and the least damage to environment and culture. So, dito is example is ang mga sa mga planners daw is magkakaroon tayo ng option sa mga bagay na ano bang mas the best sa mga or mas kikita at the same time na dapat ay pinaplano na mabuti na kung ano nga ba ang dapat gawin. Kunyari example is mamimili kunyari sa roller coaster or a cycling area, a campground or a hostel. So ano nga ba ang mas malakas ang meaning is kung ano yung mas in demand. Depende naman sa kung ano yung pwedeng piliin basta yung mga gusto ng mga tao or yung napapanahon. 5 is the respect limits. Tourism resources are finite. Ibig sabihin ng tourism are finite is merong hindi siya ibig sabihin na ma-maximize si isang tourism resources. This implies to the area where tourism take place. An island destination has a fixed area and cannot be expanded to accommodate an ever-increasing number of tourists. Meaning, sa isang lugar is may specific number lang ng mga taong kailangan pumunta. Kasi syempre, pag lahat ng tao ay pumunta ng sabay-sabay doon is makaka-apekto siya sa sa number of tourists doon at syempre, meaning, mas matataas yung chance ng damages. As such, limits must be established to ensure ecological protection, community welfare, and visitor satisfaction, among others. Siyempre, pagka pupunta tayo sa isang destination, di ba, mas piniprefer natin hindi ganun kadami ng tao. Kaya mayroong binibigay na specific limit ang isang lugar para sa isang destination para maiwasan ganitong bagay. A booking system such as the one at the Puerto Princesa Underground is one way to control capacity to a sensitive tourist site. So, dito, ginagamitin natin ng booking system. Meaning, ano ba ang booking system? Dito sa booking system ay ginagamit ang internet sa mga tao para alam na kung ilang tao ipupunta, para na monitor ng isang tao yung kung ilang pupunta sa isang lugar.
I'm Olivia May De Jesus, and my topic is all about ensuring ongoing progress. There are two sectors of ensuring ongoing progress. First, adapt to changes. Tourism planners, being sensitive to external environment, must put in place risk management strategies to handle shocks and crises. For example, coastal destination must already have plans for adapting to sea level rise caused by global warming, a manifestation of climate change. Second, monitor with the use of indicators. Indicators provide evidence of changes over time upon which adjustments to policies and actions can be based. Indicators, which are not limited to tourist arrivals and tourist receipts, may be developed to capture the impact of intervention at the destination or specific sectors. For example, to monitor tourism impacts on the poor, data based on number of unskilled jobs created or number of people employed from vulnerable groups like indigenous people and women may be used. Several aspects of sustainable tourism development were already captured by Gunn in 1988 with his proposed tourism planning guidelines. For the planning policy directions, the tourism development policy must emanate from the national level. Tourism policy should aim to achieve the following goals: economic benefits, high-quality visitor satisfaction, and sustainable utilization of natural and cultural resources. For the enhanced community quality of life, there should be a balance of social, economic, and environmental goals. Tourism planning must enlist the cooperation, assistance, and inputs from constituencies. The role of various tourism entities must be clarified. Slow-paced indigenous tourism is best. And for the planning processes, planning must be systematic and integrated. Market supply match is essential. Market, which is push, and supply, which is pull factors are important. Capitalize on the special attributes of an area. Not all areas are suitable for tourism development. Planning is a continuous process. Natural and cultural resources provide the foundation, but they have capacity limits. Thus means they should be protected through careful site design and management. And for the tourism development, urban and rural areas depend on each other for tourism growth. Second, clustering is superior to dispersal. It is because it facilitates better crowd control, more efficient use of infrastructure, and results in time saving for tourists. Services depend on attractions. Means develop tourist attractions first, then provide the services needed by the tourists. Transportation requires special planning. Engineering and technology must be supplemented with understanding of travel market segments. Short stay and longer stay tourists should be both developed as they complement each other. Short stay tourists engage in passive activities in tour circuits, while longer stay tourists engage in repetitive and active pursuits. Then next, tourism planning needs, circa 1988, the need for research, training, and education. Learning about tourism should start at an early age for people to learn about the opportunities presented by tourism and how they can fully enjoy tourism and avoid the negative effects. Then second, a need for creativity and innovation. In order to cope with the ever-changing trends, tourism planners should try new concepts. And the last, tourism must be flexible. Means rigid planning can take away the joy out of the tourism experiences, which is expression of individual freedom. Tourism planning must foster individuality and personal satisfaction that can only be derived from traveling. For tourism to be sustainable, the government should undertake the following measures according to MacArthur 2003. Establish national tourism objectives that reflect the unique character, opportunities, and constraints in a destination. Develop a shared vision of what type of tourism is wanted, how to achieve that goal. Establish a policy framework to achieve those objectives. Develop in collaboration with others guidelines, policies, and practices for both new tourism projects and the management of ongoing tourism activities.
work with the educational institutions and other organizations in education, training, and development programs. Provide a long-term commitment to move from the current situation to a more attractive future position. And then the last, Weber and Lawton 1999. Weber and Lawton 1999 said that sustainable development can be placed along a development continuum with the two extremes being laissez-faire and deep ecology. The two extremes offer between resource exploitation and the total preservation of the environment itself. It is a toss between human population and nature. First, resource conservation, which allows managed and modified growth. And the second is resource preservation, which supports zero population growth.